Hey guys, thought I'd come on today. I had told some people before that I was going to talk a little bit about movies and some different movies that had came out, and I would be giving reviews on them. And it's kind of amazing to see if you look at things from a MGTOW standpoint how far um, society has came because of feminism. And there was a movie not too long ago from 2000 with what's the guy's name? The guy from Gone in 60 Seconds, and it was called Family Man. And in the movie, the guy out of college was an intern for or was a trader for some trading company and was an investment trader. And he had the ability to go to England for a 1-year internship. And he left his girlfriend at the airport, and she wanted him to stay. She was trying to convince him to stay with her and start a new life with her and not go to England so that he could become an investment banker. He told her he would still love her and that he would be back, and after a year it wouldn't change. He left, and cut to 13 years later. He's the head of an investment company with millions and millions of dollars, and he's driving a Ferrari, has a penthouse in New York. Perfect life. He's sleeping with different girls all the time. Everybody wants him. Everybody likes him. In his company, he's a little bit of an asshole because he's a kind of a go-getter, you know. And he meets up with this comedian. I forget the guy's name as well. He's from the 90s and 2000s. He's kind of a colored funny comedian that's been in quite a few movies. And this guy tells me he's going to give him a glimpse, and it was his fault for missing out on his life that he should have had. So he decides he's going to give him a glimpse into what he could have had. And he ends up going to sleep that night and waking up in bed with that girlfriend and 2 kids and a dog. He ends up finding out that he works at a tire store, which her father had a heart attack and he took over running the store, so he stopped being a trader. And now they're struggling to make ends meet, living in a house that they still have like 25 years to pay off in New Jersey. And he has a Dodge minivan that barely runs. And he is supposed to be happy about that. And in the movie, by the towards the end, he actually meets up with his old boss from his company that he was working at, and brings him into the office and tells him about some investments that they were making, that they could be doing it better and all this. And the guy offers to have him come up to the building and become a member of their team. And his old guy that worked underneath him turns out to be like this heavy-duty asshole, which she was kind of a simp before. And his wife then tries to convince him that she has the perfect life that she wanted because she has 2 kids. He's living a miserable life doing something he hates, you know, working for a tire shop when he should be a multi-million-dollar investment strategist. And she has him towing the line for her idea of what life should be like. And I find it funny that in the end of it, you start to see that they're trying to convince you at the end of the movie that he would rather be with this girl and have these two kids and this family life where he hated it, and all he wanted was to go back to driving his Ferrari and being an investment banker because that's what he was good at and what he wanted to do his whole life. And we're led to believe by the end of the movie that no, you should totally want to just have a wife and kids and a family and a minivan and don't have any plans in your life, and you should exist solely for the purpose of your wife. And that's what this movie showed, that his whole life, he even said it when he was going to buy a $2,400 suit. And then she went out and ended up going to a thrift store and found a suit for him. And it was like a suit that really didn't fit him. But he had told her honestly what he thought about their life when he was going to buy a $2,400 suit. He was talking about everything that she was getting for the kids. They were walking through the mall and going to every store, and he was getting nothing, but he was doing all the work. She was, she was a lawyer. She went to school to be a lawyer, and in the family life, she ended up being a pro bono lawyer, so she wasn't making almost any money. She was probably making less than $1,000 a month being a pro bono lawyer. And towards the end, when he went back to his original life and was all sad because he didn't have her with him, he met up with her, and she was actually a real lawyer moving to Paris and was making millions of dollars herself. So without him, she was able to live on her own and be her own person. And with him, she would have been a pro bono lawyer with 2 kids, a dog, living in New Jersey. And we are led to believe that both these people would rather have that life than have the lives where they could buy and be whoever they wanted to be in life. It was kind of a unrealistic story, because it's the story that everybody dreams about, having that kind of life that they had in the first place. And most people, even though they might have kids, would give that life up to have a Ferrari and a multi-million-dollar company, So we're led to believe that that's not the case. That's not what people would want, Now, something else, I'll put that in the description below. It's a movie called Family Man. And I'll talk about something else as well. I've been having some people asking me about how the female mind is working differently than the male mind, and how transgender minds can be seen, and why is that? How is that? There was actually a brain mapping program that was brought out in 2009, and it was done by R. Williams, and the mapping of the pathways of the brain that they did was where they've started to understand the capabilities of the mind, and what the mind can and can't do. And what they've done now is, now that they've studied this for basically about 5 or 6 years now, almost 7 years, they've came to the realization that the transgender mind, the gay mind, female minds, they've mapped those and found out how they actually work, and it's called the Human Connectum Project. It has an ambitious goal, and to map the millions of miles of neural connections among the 100 billion neurons in the human brain. And it was launched in 2009 by the National Institute of Health and human and human Conoctum project aimed to combine brain imaging data with hundreds of participants into a three-dimensional map of the brain's information highways. Now, by doing this, what's happened is they've actually been able to map the way people's brains work and find out that, as I've talked about before, the way a woman's brain works is actually they have a hard time thinking about something like a man does. We're kind of goal-oriented, and when we think about something, we literally think about it in a way where we go to one portion of our brain and kind of use that single portion to figure out what we're doing. Whereas a woman's brain is firing all the synapses, or firing all at the same time, and their brain just looks like, it's completely at work. Everything is working all at once, which makes it harder for them to concentrate on goals. And this is why when you talk about women in STEM fields, it's also why it's very hard for them to do a STEM field unless they don't have this style of brain. They have a harder, it's harder for them to concentrate. If they have the more of a male style mind, they can actually concentrate on one thought process, and it's also why the way women argue with men always talk about the way a woman will argue with them, where they'll bring up things from the past and they won't argue logically. Well, it's because the way they feel about logic is different from the way a man feels about logic. A man will be arguing about something that's happening right now, and a woman will be discussing something that happened 5 years ago, because for her that's logical, and it's also a way for her to win the fight when she can confuse you. It's kind of like a duck and weave. She can confuse you about what's going on and make you think that she is actually talking about something that's real, but it's actually not. And the thing is that each fiber in the photo represents hundreds of thousands of individual axons, which are able to find out in your brain what part are. There's basically little fibers that go to every section of your brain, and we've mapped out over hundreds of years now where those are located at in the brain and what those functions are, which is why we're able to now tell the feminine mind from the male mind, and we're also able to see the gay mind from the straight mind, and the transgender mind from the cisgendered mind. And these are all studies that have been coming out, and they keep coming out with more and more people talking about them. And we need to understand that the binary concepts that we have for the human body as a male and female gendered in society, those are all concepts that are social constructs. They're not actual physical constructs, because people will say it's unnatural to be gay, and the problem with that is we've actually shown that almost every species on the planet, pretty much every species on the planet, is involved in homosexual behavior. And there are even species on the planet that act transgender. So to say that it's unnatural is ignorant of the actual facts, and it's just typically the people that say it's not it's not a factual thing, are people who are actually religious, typically, have something to do with religion. In their idea, as a person that believes in religion, they believe that it is sacrilege, or whatever they want to say, that being gay or being homosexual or being transgender is something that you should feel bad about. That you should act like it's something you should hide, because you should feel ashamed of being homosexual or being transgender. When in my idea, in my mind, you should be ashamed of making other people feel ashamed for being who they are. That it's not really your business to tell somebody else in a free world what they can and can't do in their own life, and what they can and can't be, who they can and can see or can't marry. I've talked about it before, but these people who believe that gay marriage is bad, and they really can't give a reason for that. You'll ask, like, why, and they'll just give you some Bible quote. And the fact is like with gay marriage, if you want to marry somebody that you're with that's gay, it has absolutely nothing to do with a cisgender person. It's not making marriage any less or any more than what it was before, and it actually has nothing to do with you if you're a cisgender person. Just because you're a cisgender person doesn't mean they're going to make you marry a gay person. So therefore, it has absolutely nothing to do with you unless you intend on marrying a gay. So I think it's an idea that I think more studies will be done in the brain, and the idea that we can eventually find out at a very young age if somebody has a tendency to be transgender. It will help. And it's starting to be noticed earlier and earlier. And a lot of people want to think that it's actually from childhood, that people can't say what kind of sexuality they are. But then you'll tell those people, so when did you know you were cisgendered? And they just say, well, I always knew I was cisgendered. Well, that's the same thing. They can't, for some reason, they don't see the logic, where they can't see that gay people and trans people always knew they were trans and gay as well. They just, maybe because it's not taught in schools and they don't see it until they get on YouTube, or they find somebody that is transgender and then they realize what that is, they don't understand that's what they are. So they just know they're different. And teaching children about what it is doesn't make children transgender. That's what's kind of funny, that people actually think that if you teach about transgender in school, it will make everybody want to be transgender. And that would be the same thing as trying to say that teaching about gays will make every kid in school gay. It's just, it doesn't work that way. That's not the way the human mind and the human sexuality works. So I just I thought I'd do a quick video on this, and talk a little bit about mapping, of the pathways of the brain and the neural pathways and stuff, and talk a little bit about this movie I was talking about. Like I say, I'll put it in the description below so you guys can go watch the movie. And if you have the the red pill mindset, and you watch that movie, you'll see how it seems like they enacted a few feminist thoughts into it, trying to convince people to believe that not having a Ferrari and a multi-million-dollar company for both the man and the woman in the relationship is something you should aspire to be. You shouldn't aspire to be a multi-million-dollar person in your field that you've wanted to do your whole life. You should want to be a housewife and have a couple kids and stay home and not strive to be anything in your life. And, you know, being a tire salesman is enough. So I think we can all agree that that's not something that any of us want to aspire to be. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you learned a little bit of something from this. And if you like this video, share, like, and subscribe, and have a nice day.